Today, I'm going to put your attentiveness to the test. Pay attention to every little detail, and you'll solve all the riddles in no time. Mark was walking along the river when he heard someone screaming. It was a young woman who was drowning. The guy immediately left his jacket and backpack on the ground and jumped into the water. Luckily, he was on time. When Mark pulled the woman out of the river, he saw a passerby standing next to his stuff.
Unfortunately, I can't swim, but I looked after your things,
the man said. Then why did you rummage in my backpack? Mark asked. How did he understand someone had opened his backpack? When he dropped the bag on the ground, the zipper was on the left side, but now it's on the right side. It was a scorching hot day when Thomas made a bet with his friends. At that time, they were chilling in the garden, drinking water and lemonade. Thomas told his friends that water produced by different companies tasted different too. You can blindfold me. I'll take a sip from 2 bottles of water, the one we have on the table and the one from a different producer. I saw it in the kitchen. I bet I'll be able to tell the difference. Then he did exactly that. His friends were ready to give Thomas the money he had won. But one of them cut in. You were cheating, he said. Why did he think so? It was an extremely hot day. No wonder the water had been outside for several hours, which was much warmer than the water brought from the kitchen. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect, who had been detained several times before.
I've been feeling unwell this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. Luckily, I didn't need food. My fridge is full. You can make sure of it yourself,
the man said, and opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, that loaf of bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be so full. Mr. Black sold beautiful, rare vases. There were dozens of them on the shelves of his store. One day, the man called the police. When they arrived, the owner had his head bandaged and his store was a mess. Some guys in masks ran into my store and grabbed the money and the most expensive vases. Then they hit me on the head and I blacked out. Police officers immediately understood that Mr. Black was lying to get the insurance money. How did they figure it out? Even though most of the vases are on the floor, they aren't even cracked. But if the vases had fallen down from the shelves during the robbery, they would have been shattered. Look at these 2 bloggers. As you see, they both seem to be very popular. They also have the same amount of likes, but there's something wrong with one of them. She must be hiding something. What is it? The girl on the right has a fake bag. The logo on it looks like that of Chanel, but it's written Gucci underneath. Marcel was driving along a dangerous mountain road. Suddenly, he saw a man sitting on the side of the road and stopped. It turned out the man hadn't managed to control his car. It fell off the road and the man got thrown out of the window. And now, his very expensive car was beyond repair.
Could you be my witness when I prepare the documents for my insurance company?
The man asked Marcel. The guy agreed, but asked the man to show him what was inside the car. The man took the key out of his pocket and unlocked the damaged vehicle. I won't take part in this fraud, Marcel said. Why did he think the man was lying? If the man had been thrown out of the car, the key would still be in the ignition. Dylan and Susan had been happily married for 10 years. One day, Dylan went on a business trip. When he returned, Susan immediately understood that the man wasn't her husband. How did she figure it out? Dylan always wore his wedding ring. If you were attentive, you must have noticed it on his finger. But the man who returned to Susan didn't have the wedding ring. The police found out that a smuggler was going to leave the country through the largest airport in the city. A detective arrived there and detained 3 people who looked suspicious. Look at them and try to figure out who the smuggler is. It's the 3rd passenger. His suitcase is full of totally random stuff. Women's shoes, some random socks, a pair of old dirty jeans, and even a wig. Plus, when closed, the suitcase looks much larger than when it's open. Sarah's husband, Michel, was a professional cyclist. He was about to have a challenging cycling tournament. "I promise I'll bring you the bouquet they give to the winner," Michel told Sarah. 4 hours later, he came back with beautiful flowers. But Sarah realized right away that Michelle hadn't won the tournament. How did she figure it out? Those flowers are actually from Sarah's garden. The same flowers are growing next to their house. Look at these people. The man is in the hospital. He's lost his memory. And these 2 women both claim to be his partner. One of them is obviously lying, but which one? The woman on the left is lying. If they were married, they would have wedding rings on their fingers. Now, there are these 3 people. One of them is lying. Who is it? Look at this woman claiming that she's pregnant. See that Adam's apple? It's a man. He can't be pregnant. Look at these people. Can you figure out who's a vampire? It's this man. See those fangs? Creepy. Which of these girls is the man's wife? It's the girl on the right. She's wearing a necklace saying Kate, and the man has a tattoo with the same name on his arm. A store security guard stopped a man who was leaving a clothing store. "The sales assistant claims you've stolen a pair of expensive gloves."
These are my gloves. I've had them for ages.
But the security guard immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. Rachel reached the final of a game show. In the last round, she could win a gold bar, but only if she managed to get it. One of the bars was in a container with boiling hot water. The jar containing the second bar was filled with strong acid. And in the third jar, there were venomous scorpions. Which container should Rachel choose? The woman just needs to wait until the water in the first jar cools down and take the gold bar. Detective Adams came to a park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running the first is the criminal. If it rains at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it will be sunny? No way! In 72 hours, it's gonna be night again. Can you crack this Rebus puzzle? That's right, it means accelerate.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.
How about a refreshing brain workout? If you're ready, let's start. A man walked into a room and saw 3 doors. The first one had a sign which read, "To the swamps." On the second door, there was a note, "Lion's Den." The third door didn't have any sign, but the man knew for sure where it led. How? It was the door he had entered through. You return from your lunch break and discover that someone has stolen $50 from your bag. There are 4 suspects: Mila, Henry, Jackson, and Victoria. When you ask them about the money, Mila replies she hasn't taken it. Henry says he's pretty sure Jackson's got the money. Jackson shouts, "No way! Henry's lying!" And Victoria claims Mila's telling the truth. Only one of these people isn't lying. Who's taken your money? It's Mila. She, Henry, and Victoria are lying, while Jackson's telling the truth. If anyone else had taken your $50, there would be more than one person telling the truth. Several sparrows landed on trees. One bird for one tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with 2 sparrows sitting on one tree. After this, one tree was left birdless. How many birds and trees were there? There were 4 sparrows and 3 trees. 3 famous detectives came to a cafe to discuss a tricky case. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first detective said, "I don't know." The second detective answered, "I don't know." And the third detective said, "Yeah." Why did he say no? All the detectives wanted to have coffee, but the first 2 couldn't know if it could be everyone's choice. If the first 2 detectives hadn't wanted coffee, they'd simply have said no. So when the third detective heard the replies of his colleagues, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was also going to have a cup, he said yes. Look at this picture and try to figure out who is an alien in disguise. It's the guy in a yellow shirt. He's eating a banana, but he hasn't peeled it before biting into it. He probably sees this fruit for the first time. You have an equation made of matchsticks. 6 plus 4 equals 4. Move just one matchstick to make it true. You need to take one matchstick from the plus sign and add it to 6 so that it makes 8. Then you'll have 8 minus 4 equals 4. Look at this picture. All these people seem to be very close, but who is the girl's husband? It's the guy on the right. He's the only one to have a wedding band on his finger. The next riddle to check how attentive you are. Who is her husband? It's the guy on the left. Look, here's his photo in the car. He's actually the owner of this vehicle. Can you figure out what's wrong here? These guys seem to be wearing smartwatches. Hey, detective! Your next task is to understand where the criminal is hiding. Make sure to pay attention to every detail. The criminal is in House A. The car next to his house is parked in a way that makes it easier for the criminal to drive away as fast as possible. Can you figure out which of these people is in the greatest danger? It's this guy. This large icicle is about to fall right on his head. Is the person in the yellow car driving right or wrong? It's a wrong and very dangerous way of driving. The car is moving very slowly, and to overtake it, the next driver will have to maneuver from the leftmost lane to the right one. It can easily cause an accident. How can you get from 98 to 720 by just adding one letter? Add the letter X between 90 and 8. You'll get 90 times 8 equals 720. A wealthy businessman was traveling by a high-speed train. He had a suitcase full of cash on him. The train was moving through a mountainous area with numerous tunnels. After the train left one of the tunnels, the businessman noticed that his suitcase was missing. There were only 4 other passengers in the train car. Matthew said he had broken up with his girlfriend and didn't care about anything happening around. Joseph said that he'd bought his favorite author's novel at the station and had been engrossed in reading. Zoe said that she hadn't seen anything. Her eyes had been tearing, irritated by the smoke coming from the train. And Ellie claimed she had been napping with her sleeping mask on. So, can you figure out who took the businessman's suitcase? It was Zoe. Modern high-speed trains are electric and don't produce smoke. You've got a bag filled with oranges. You need to use these oranges to fill up 2 other bags of the same size. How can you do it? Put one empty bag into the other and fill them with oranges. Detective Marcus and another passerby became witnesses of a car accident. A man hit by a minivan was lying on the ground, unconscious. Marcus rushed to the nearest cafe to call an ambulance. When he got back, the passerby told him the man had turned onto his back, but hadn't come to his senses. After looking at the scene for a couple of seconds, the detective said, "You better return everything you've taken from this man." Why did he say so? When they saw the man at first, only one button was buttoned on his suit jacket, but now it's already 2 buttons. The passerby must have opened his jacket to look for the wallet and then buttoned it up incorrectly. Now, imagine you're lost in a forest on a freezing cold winter night. You realize that you have nothing to warm you up. There are 3 options: to stay where you are and call for help, to keep walking until you get out of the forest, and to go on, but take small breaks, sit on the snow, and cover yourself with some branches. What should you choose? If you stay in one place, you'll freeze in no time. Sitting on the snow during short breaks isn't a great idea either. Branches won't warm you up, and you may accidentally fall asleep and never wake up again. The only way to survive is to keep walking. Sarah invited her friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by Sarah's friend Sean. Sarah was worried that there might be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Sarah who the thief was. Have you figured it out too? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of his guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch is already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace is in that flower pot. See? Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office, but he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. Look at these people attentively. Who does this dog belong to? The dog's owner is the guy in the middle. He's the only one who isn't trying to pet the animal.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.